There's a number of different ways kind of gill netting can take shape. The kind that's most commonly used in California is what they call a drift gill net, and that's used for offshore fish like swordfish primarily, but they also catch tunas, sharks occasionally. And basically what it is a large panel of net that can be over a mile long, and sort of the mesh for the net has to be bigger than 14 inches. You can kind of imagine a gill net like a big panel of net, like a volleyball net, that kind of hangs in the water and just drifts freely. It's usually attached to one side of the vessel, and they deploy it, and sort of as fish swim into the panel of net, they'll sort of become entangled in it. You know, with gill netting, because it's not very selective, like there's not a bait for the fish to come eat, anything that sort of swims into the net that's large enough to be stopped by the mesh size could potentially become entangled in it. So as a result, sometimes they will catch turtles, you know, dolphins, whales, all have the potential to get tangled in a net, but they do take steps in the California fishery to try and minimize that. But yeah, there is a potential for bycatch just because it's just a big panel of net floating in the ocean and stuff swims into it. In regard to California swordfish, there's two other methods of fishing. One being harpoon fishing, where they actually drive around in a boat looking for swordfish on the surface during the daytime, and they have this long plank that sort of comes off the front of the boat, and there's a guy up there with a harpoon, and they will kind of sneak up on the fish, and he will actually harpoon the fish, and then the harpoon's attached to a line, and they'll sort of like fight the fish back to the boat and get it in the boat that way. The other method that's sort of more experimental is what they call deep set buoy gear. And basically what that is a large buoy that floats on the surface with a line that goes down several hundred meters with one or two baited hooks on it. And so fishermen will find an area where they think there's swordfish. They deploy these buoys with baited hooks, and we'll kind of sit there and monitor the buoys. And attached to the main buoy that kind of marks where the gear is a smaller buoy that will kind of let them know if they get a bite, just like a bobber would work, sort of in more of a conventional sport fishing method. And then they can go over, pull the buoy on board, haul the line back in, and with any luck, hopefully there's a swordfish on there, and they can take that fish to market. If not, if it's something that they didn't intend to catch, it hasn't been on the hook for too long, so hopefully they can unhook it and safely release whatever it is. Encouraging consumers to you know, look for more sustainable seafood options, like purchasing you know, fish that's been caught in these methods would encourage a fisherman to say, hey, you know, there's a market for this type of fishing. We don't have to gill net because we can get a higher price for these fish caught with buoy gear, or these fish that are harpooned. And so it might encourage them to pursue those fishing options as opposed to, you know, sticking with the gill net and the current market. So I think a lot of it comes down to consumers making sustainable seafood choices that would ultimately encourage, you know, sustainable fishing practices.